Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Goodtime Podcast.
Where are we?
4.
Where are we, Cause?
Where aren't we, Jules? You'll notice, viewers, that we are indeed outside. Another first for the Goodtime Podcast. We just keep breaking
People said it
records.
couldn't be done.
Yeah.
But we didn't take it couldn't be done for an answer.
Exactly.
So we're here in Mexico. A really green Mexico.
Exactly. No, we're here. We're here in London enjoying this amazing weather.
Don't give them too details about where we are.
Yeah,
Google
exactly.
Street View will capture this.
Yeah. We've got, as you can see, our first guest sitting in the middle.
A genuine, real person.
A genuine, real person.
Each season we deliver. Who is he, Quaz? Who are you?
Who are you, man? No, this is Rich Whiteley, a good friend of mine. We work together, and he's going to work with us on our theme this week, which is travel. And he would know because he recently has been travelling himself.
And we're not just talking about commuting either.
No, we're not talking. We're talking about real world travelling. But also, to be clear, he hasn't been outside of the world, so he's not
a Virgin Galactic.
He's not a Virgin Galactic.
No,
he doesn't own shares because these days you've got to clarify travel, like because you could be a ghost.
Intergalactic travelling.
Yeah.
And if you want a one-way ticket to Mars, which we don't.
We did do that. So we're gonna head over to Rich and let him introduce himself to lovely people.
Hi, Rich.
Hello. Well, I'm Rich. Thanks for the invite on the show, guys.
No problem.
So I went 6 months travelling. Got back in March. Went to South America, New Zealand, Australia, and South Asia.
Now the old commuter trail.
That's right. It's like the Inca Trail.
Exactly. Yes. for lost souls and youths.
Yeah.
All across the Western world.
Yeah, and I did that for 6 months. I qualified as an accountant, and instead of jumping off a building, I thought I'd travel around the world. You know.
And you made a good choice.
Yeah. I thought I'd do what everyone else does in their gap years. 12
years later. Yeah, I mean, you've only suffered from inflation prices, Rich, to be honest with you.
I know, think about how far you could have gone around the world twice 12 years ago.
I was going to say, like Australia.
And travelling on a plane would have been easier as well.
Yeah, I mean, Australia is more expensive than London, and just a bag of shopping, I couldn't believe it. I was poor.
Kangaroo meat? Tried that?
I did have it, yeah.
I think there's a big issue at the minute because the Australians, considering how little fussy they are just generally about comments they make and the way their attitudes towards life, they won't eat kangaroo meat because it's they're thinking it's a national emblem.
That's
so that
right.
They feel reluctant to eat the kangaroo. I've got kangaroo boots for football, brilliant. I've eaten kangaroo, tasty.
Do you own a kangaroo?
Well, no, but if I did, I'd probably either breed it for more kangaroos or at least turn it into like a kangaroo abattoir.
Hey, I'm totally with you there.
Tiny kangaroo down on my foot.
But, I mean, on every gift shop you can buy their key rings made of kangaroos bits.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're selling loads of them. And I was in a shop, and the two people in front of me, they're buying them.
Yeah.
And I've turned around and gone, is that a bit much? Oh no, these guys are buying it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's totally fine. Because why would we eat their meat?
And we eat their balls on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. That's a legitimate ITV show.
Yeah, it doesn't get complaints, does
No,
it?
it doesn't, no. But it's probably not shown in Australia.
It should.
It should.
Yeah. Oh, and before we end our intro, Rich, tell me about goats and scapegoating. No.
That's true.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm also playing a band called the Scapegoats.
Nice.
And, they're a bit of an active at the moment.
Good an accountancy link there as well, scapegoating.
Yes.
Yeah. The old scapegoating. Although there is quite a lot of blame to be left there. So some of it's scapegoating, some of it's literal fact. It's hard to know the difference.
I
But
didn't think of that. That's good. Maybe people will link that.
Yeah.
One day I'll get a job in marketing, Rich. One day I'll sell more lies and truths.
Fingers crossed, mate.
I'm doing it for you.
We're going to chat about travel today, and the profound effect it's had on everything from literally getting to work every day and also going to traveling around the world and basically booking any sort of trip.
Technology and social media have made travel great.
Exactly, indeed they are. You can check into anywhere these days. But we'll talk about that all in our next section, viewers. So stick around. Welcome back. Travel. It's very interesting topic, travel, and how technology has influenced it. I think that where I'm going to start from is
The beginning.
the beginning.
The start of your journey.
Exactly. And literally, we're all here. We're all Londoners. I've been in London for around 5 years now, and it's crazy to think what the journey to work then and the journey to work now, because the travel apps are not only like, you know, nice to have, they're almost essential, especially in London, because sometimes if you don't know exactly where a train is or what the connection you need to get, you're going to have a bad time.
You could end up anywhere.
I mean, there are like, you know, there's this hashtag on Twitter which is travel woes, that just you just see these people just having a mare, basically, because they haven't looked at actually when the train is, and they trust the old timetables.
No.
Paper timetables, they mean nothing. But
Real-time updates is what we need.
so I mean,
And a platform where we can moan our travel woes, because 7 years ago you just had to bottle up
you have to bottle up inside,
and
now.
that made travelling dangerous.
True
But now,
Yeah, exactly.
it suppressed those thoughts. But now you can express yourself on all sorts of social media. But real-time apps cause.
They are. I mean, so to give it, I'm not sure what these guys use, but I use
I use the Sun.
Transport, which is just a London one, and then there's a nice one called Commuter. I use Virgin Trains. I use, because I mean, like a lot of them, like not one
Bus checker. I love the
I've
bus
got
checker.
bus checker.
Bus checker's brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know how
Seriously.
cheap the bus is? Unbelievable. What do you
Julian Presley Davis loves a bus, by the way. Before he goes off on an absolute rant about how great buses are, you're talking to a man who would marry a bus if he could.
That could be my sequel on Channel 4, wouldn't it?
Exactly, yeah. The man who married a bus. But
She was a double decker. But
get out. So Bus Checker actually is an excellent app, because one of the huge problems, the huge gaps in the market, was the fact that when all these travel apps came out, and they're all for the tube, all for the trains, but there was no real-time bus information. And actually the reason was because TfL wouldn't release it. So they had the data, but they wouldn't release it in real time until
so
about...
is it each bus like geo-tagged?
Yeah,
or
each bus is geotagged, so it's got
and it all
GPS,
goes
and
to
it all goes
TfL. So for years they probably
Yeah,
wanted
for
to,
years
I
they've
guess.
had this data, but they were being a little bit
Who knew?
sneaky.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so they didn't release it, and of course the moment they released it, it allowed apps like Bus Checker to happen, because what happened previously was they just had to use the timetable, and we all know timetables.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
So I'm trying to remember, because I haven't been in London as long as you, but it's not just London now, it's all around the country.
It's all around the country,
Is
yeah.
you know, the interactive bus stops where it'll tell you what bus is going where and how
How long it's
its
gonna be.
due date.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, if pregnancies had due dates with geotargeting, then people could be nearer hospitals. But that's
That's another.
you just never know when that water will break. Congratulations, James Bowden. Anyway,
But what about you? What do you find, Rich? What do you use? What do you do? What
did you use any like apps going around the
Yeah,
world,
so
or even
you-
just commuting?
Well, I have like the underground map.
Oh, that's a lifesaver.
Because
because no one really knows London.
I know,
I have
I
no
mean-
idea where I am most of the time.
I've lived here my whole life,
Yeah.
and I still don't know where Mornington Crescent is. No idea.
No.
But so you can just get that up and go and post it going, where's that map? Oh, I can't look at the map because these tourists are right in front. Can I?
Yeah.
yeah.
No, you're not going to move. I'm not trying to do anything. I just want to see the map. So I can just go, oh, there. But, and you know, if you're on a day, you're going, oh, do you want to meet this? Oh yeah, it's on the red line.
It makes you seem more knowledgeable, doesn't it? Oh yeah,
And
totally.
even when you can say there's a train due now and it comes in, you're like, whoa, this guy,
This
This guy's a
This
train
guy.
spotter. He's all over it.
he's a winner. Just don't take pictures of anything outside airports. Talking of train spotters or plane spotters,
They
just
do a lot of
it's
that.
not as easy as it was.
Do a lot of that. When I was in New Zealand was the other place where
Yeah.
I used it. So for Auckland, they have an app that you can download and a website, and it's really good because Auckland's actually quite a big city, but it's
Yeah.
small in comparison to the big cities of around the world, if that makes sense. There's not a lot of, I mean, New Zealand, there's 4.5 million people in the whole two islands,
yeah.
and a third of them live in Auckland.
Wow.
But it's just got it. This website is just so easy to use, and the app is just so good. It's as good as any
Yeah.
public transport.
Does it just sort of tell you everything you
It
need to
just
know?
tells you everything. Even for a tourist, you know, you want to go and see, like, there's a volcano, an ex-volcano that in the suburbs, and it just goes, yeah, bus stops here, you know, it shows you a little map, stay on it for 20 minutes, and it's just excellent. It made
All at the
life so
fingertips.
easy. Yeah, I was just like, this is easy. When I was in Brazil, I could have done with that. And not the Portuguese language.
I'm just making what I'm playing, but I suspect the reason Brazil didn't have one is because they put all their funding into the World Cup, so they had no money to build.
There's going to be a cracking World Cup
I'll tell
app.
you what, if you went to the World Cup, more apps that you can shake a stick.
It's just going to be like
which favela to skirt around, which favela to go through,
Everything.
which seat to sit in, and how to collect ransom money.
You can do these favela tours as well. I didn't do it,
Didn't you?
Value my life. But you can't go on them.
No, that's very interesting actually.
Well, I think they actually generally, we're getting into sort of global politics now, but the people who live in favelas, because of the way it's all balanced, actually, their beef is with other people who live in the favela or the police. So, they're sort of understanding that, tourists bring money in, a little bit of money, so you just leave them alone. Probably an app for that.
Yeah, probably an app. There will be for the World Cup. Anyway.
And I suppose linking from apps to sort of interactive elements of apps.
Mr. Social Media.
Social media itself. Linking back to, travel is perfect for all social because it's all about conversation, as we all know, as I harp on about, and it's all about.
It does.
From marketing point of views, it's all about people giving good value of information to each other, and traveling is one of those things that it is so word of mouth and it's so based on people's recommendations. Where would you stay? Would you stay in somewhere where a friend recommended, or would you stay in a complete random place? Probably both can be okay, but if you have a friend who recommends something, you're more likely to take that on board because it's one less thing to worry about. And then equally, when you're trying to explore a place, someone always has recommendations for you. And now, rather than listing all these things before you go, you can almost do it in real time when you're there. I've seen so many friends visit cities and saying, "Oh, I'm here now. Has anyone got any good recommendations for me?" Do you do any of that, Rich?
So a little bit on the Facebook. People that had recommended we go places. I got in contact with them and said, "Where do you think I should go now?" And then they told me. I met a girl actually in Chile who, in a hostel, she turned up and she was quite upset, and she lost all her money.
Not one of these. A legitimate one, or was she?
No,
okay, just checking.
I was suspicious, but she had lost her money. She had enough money for that night in the hostel.
Oh, that's convenient.
No, she
We're
didn't
such a skeptical bunch.
She didn't ask me for any money. Yeah. I just gave her the 50 quid.
Yeah.
No,
I expected nothing in return.
Yeah. But so what she said she had enough money for tonight, but she does couch surfing, couchservice.com.
Oh yes,
that's a very
great
good
reference.
Point.
And she just she went on there. She managed to get on the computer at the hostel, went on there, and within half an hour she had the next week sorted with this hippie guy around the corner. So I said goodbye to her the next day. She went to this place. Saw her 3 days later. It hadn't quite worked out.
Yeah.
But 3 nights, free accommodation. Nothing had happened to her, which was serious.
Yeah.
It was just the guy tried it on. It was awkward.
That is.
But I think that's kind of an underlying thing.
Yeah.
She expected it. It happened. And she just left.
You moved on.
Yeah.
You moved on.
You expose your couch, and people are either going to stay on it or they're not. But that's why you're a good host and a good guest.
Couch surfing is one of the very popular ones actually.
Something's made possible because of the internet.
Yeah, and because it really has helped a lot of people out. Like I know a lot of people who have used it because it's such a great service and it's very quick. It's so very quick. I mean, because sometimes a situation you just described, that is about time. You don't have time.
No.
You when you're really in a jam, you don't have time. And couchsurfing strikes me as one of those services that really delivers, and it works wherever you are. So like whatever country you go to, a lot of people signed up for this service, which is great.
Yeah, and when I was in Australia, I went on this tour as well, and this guy said, I've got this global community.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't have a lot of money, I'm a tour guide, but I know that sign up for the thing, and I'll send out a message to everyone and go, I think it was a Facebook group. I'm in London.
Yeah.
And if the guy came over to London, he needed to stay over for the night, I'd let him stay over.
Exactly.
Just send me a message, you can stay.
And of course, you've got word of mouth, and then you've got everything that goes with it. The sort of what do we love doing when we're abroad? I mean, we don't even actually see anything legitimate. It's fine. I'm not talking about swallowing condoms full of drugs. I'm not talking about that. I'm no smuggling. I'm just saying that everyone takes pictures of everything. That's always happened. But now suddenly it's you can sort of document your journey as you go there, and you can share that with other people. So a lot of people even countries and cities on things like Instagram, of course, have tried to establish tapping into people's hashtags. So if you're tagging hashtag London, you look for the best ones. You find places in London, where you can go. You look. It's a more visual way of finding places you can explore.
It's very true. It's good. It's a good idea. I think a lot of, the services that I've seen in travel have really they all add value, yes. Which is essentially what you want. I'm all for technology that adds value. My only problem I ever have with technology is when it doesn't add value, because it always should.
The only consequence, of course, technology is only as good as the people who use it.
Exactly.
And there's just so much noise on there. And
I was going to come to that. Actually.
How do you pick the good recommendations? How do you find a safe couch?
And no, and you put in a very good point. Like with technology, always comes noise.
Yeah.
Because reviews. Let's just take reviews, right?
Yeah.
So you and I know where we know. London.
You know how many?
So say you go to Camden. Camden's a nice swinging spot for all the hipster people. Now, which we are not part of.
I could be.
All right, maybe this guy is.
I haven't had an invite, but it's coming, right?
And so, this is the better one. So Shoreditch, that's even more. That's even more exactly the side, the Shoreditch side. But so you go to Shoreditch.
We love those people because we don't alienate any of the listeners.
Exactly. So
just shake your head and then twizzle your fake moustache.
Yeah. So you go to Shoreditch, you've just come off.
It's all about Dalston now, isn't it?
Yeah, and you come off and you look at these reviews, right? And Shoreditch is packed full of clubs, pubs, and I was going through some reviews, and of course they're all subjective, but it was a really good article actually by Lifehacker. A guy wrote, he said how he's learned to stop relying on online reviews for things like pubs and buying stuff
and milk.
Because sometimes you have all these people who just go, this place, oh my God, you'll love it. Just yes. You literally might hate it more than, but of course you just go on, oh God, it's a lot of 80%, that's a lot. I'm going to sign off on 80.
Yeah.
And you go off and you have literally the worst, to quote Pete Show, you're out with literally the worst men in the world. Men or women, you really hate it.
It's tough though, it's because wherever you are now, there are just so many options of stuff to see.
Yeah.
So the brain can only cope with so much information, so it does selectively, and sometimes it's unconscious, and sometimes it's conscious of you going through reviews. And naturally, and that's where Google makes its money, isn't it? Essentially,
True.
Where are you going to look for do you have time to go through the 10 pages that returned on whatever search you're doing, or do you click on the top free one?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. The best thing really is just to find something that's quite descriptive and then try it out.
I think it is.
Also, I don't trust half the good reviews, because you know how many reviews I've left for the Goodtime Podcast? Loads, under so many different aliases. Miguel Sanchez, Racy Davis J. How that one didn't get picked up. 5 stars. I love that guy's hat selection.
But it is good. You can businesses can manipulate reviews very easily. It does happen, and I suppose the same can happen with travel. Have you ever had that experience where you got sold the dream, but it ended up turning into a nightmare?
Funny enough, so I was using the Lonely Planet guys, which some people love and some people hate it. Yeah. And I have the app as well, which makes life easy.
A lot of good information from those guys online.
Yeah, and
as well,
I think it's fairly good actually. Consistently it's quite good. But we went to this cafe in Cambodia, and the app told me it was good, and we went there and good. And the guy came over to it, knew we were travellers from England.
Yeah.
And he said, would you do me a massive favour? Will you go on TripAdvisor and put a good review on there?
Yeah.
He said, we've had 100 good reviews and then one really bad one. And it's affected business in real time. He said,
wow.
This week I'm struggling to get people in from this horrendous review. And the review really was scathing. So I went on there and looked at this review. Scathing, but really the guy hadn't done they had a bad day. But basically they didn't have what this guy wanted, and then they didn't have the other thing this guy wanted, which was the two fanciest things on the menu.
Yeah.
And he said that he was kind of ignored. But as the guy said, that day it's a family business, his wife was away with the kid wasn't well, he was struggling to do everything.
People are so full of vitriol. Let's face it, all reviews are rather, this is the greatest place I've ever been to in my entire life. Right. In fact, God put me on this planet to visit this place. Or it's, they stole my family and they're probably dead. You don't get the middle ground of actually. I enjoy.
This is a strong review as well.
Exactly.
It was just scathing.
Yeah. And truthful is in the middle, in between the 2 points. It's it's actually you'll probably enjoy this place, so check it out. It's not, and
It makes Rich makes a very good point about how one negative review can, especially when you're in a foreign country. I think that especially when you are actually you're placing quite a lot of emphasis, especially TripAdvisor is a very, very well respected site.
Yes.
So a bad review like that can have a lot. So technology, when it filters down to real business and real bottom line, you kind of see how much this is affected. Because people are seeing this on their phone and just going no.
Yeah,
and
that's where
crazy.
that's where the sort of back end things with technology. Like, take a model like Amazon. The
Yeah.
way they've organised their review
Oh, it's
system is
brilliant.
incredible. I mean, sort of weighting more
to
positive
users.
people,
And
and of course,
also-
and when you look at the reviews themselves, you've got 5 stars and 1 stars and everything in between, so you can actually see what people are saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to really touch on this quickly, Amazon goes far more sophisticated than that. As you review, they put weighting towards your review, so you can be a
Yep.
trusted reviewer.
Yeah, if you've got a
So if you don't-
99%
if you
approval
just-
rating.
if you like post nonsense, Amazon will just put you down. So like that, you can actually see people who actually have genuine, status and record
Yeah.
good stuff.
I suppose the final segue I want to take onto the old travelling thing is sort
Yeah.
of like the actual travelling experience itself. Especially, I mean, we've covered from sort of a local level of getting across a city or a country, but now we're talking about actually some of the big stuff of flying places because. Airlines and technology and social. I mean, let's face it, airlines are quite complicated things anyway. But the way they've embraced all these new technologies is incredible. So I mean, checking in online. Well, you were saying that all the different ways the way the process has changed. I mean, I don't know how you. How did you pick your airline, Rich? How did you pick your flights? How did you go about checking in and stuff?
Well, I had an all the way round world ticket, so they kind of book all the flights for you. But I had like apps like BAA app, which is kind of like you get your boarding pass on there.
You really?
And yeah, it was really straightforward sometimes. Really, like I didn't even have to show my passport at once because they checked the app. They knew I'd flown someplace, and they went, yeah, it's fine.
That wasn't one of those scenarios where someone gave you a case and say, "Don't worry, senor, you will not have to
Just
check
show
your
them
passport."
this app. They'll know what you mean.
But, I mean, but you have got everything. They're so good. I mean, like sort of.
They're very sophisticated.
I like their marketing, the way certain airlines have done. I mean, KLM are the best sort of social technology company in terms of the way their air franchise, the way they've sort of taken the best online experience and the best offline experience and combined the two. So I like to think you might be bumped up flights, Rich, but what they're famous for is doing sort of real world campaigns which involve tapping into their online audience. So, for example, with one of their campaigns was around Twitter. So they, in certain of their main airports, they waited for people to either check into the airport or use a hashtag, sort of like about to fly KLMN.
Yeah.
And they in real time they were monitoring their feed, see who was at mentioning them,
Oh,
finding
yeah.
out they were in the
I
airport,
did see this,
doing
yeah.
a quick bit of mild stalking, but it's fine. You put the information
You
out
put the
there.
information out there. We told you about this.
And then they would find people, and by deduction they'd work out, oh, they're on that flight. They'll be in the boarding gate around this time, or they'll be in the sort of dead lounge around here, and then going out to these people, putting an announcement out, and then giving them a gift, only a small gift, but like for example, like free music. iTunes money to buy some songs for the trip, or
Wow.
a book. And the point was, it was just little activations for people who are advocates, proper KLM users who might be big fans, or they might be flying for the first time, but they've taken the time to interact with them.
Yeah.
And it's all these little constant interactions that a company like that do that just enhance the sort of reputation of it, and just
It's a good idea, and like I think it's like the other part of you have the app that gives you the core functionality of flying with that airline, and then you have
the personal
you have the
experience.
campaign that is like the sort of the fiddly stuff, but what it actually again adds a lot of value to someone and nice touch.
Yep.
They're a good airline. One last thing I'll touch upon for this travel section is actually obviously you
Before we fly off, or Moscow.
get out. so basically, Rich had a travel blog while you were away, and I read an interesting article talking about the importance of the smartphone while you're
Yes.
traveling.
Oh,
And of course, I imagine I'll talk to you, but just how important that gadget must be.
It's your lifeline, isn't it?
It's
In a sense, your connection.
put it this way: I was in Australia and I've got off the night bus and I've gone to the seaside because I can't check into my hostel until like 12.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on the beach and I'm thinking, time for a swim, Rich. Let's have a wake up. And I've gone and waded in the swimming pool, and I've gone,
Oh no.
my phone. It's wet. It won't switch on. And suddenly, I thought, hang on, my laptop doesn't work properly because Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Joking.
Yeah.
Love the Linux.
Love
All
the
over
Linux. You geeks will like that one.
And I actually, for a minute there, I thought, well, I don't have a watch. That was my first thing. Straight away, don't have a watch or working phone. I don't know what time it is.
Time it is.
That's my first thing. And then everything else that goes with it, everything that's stored on there,
Yeah.
the Skype, the Viber, the WhatsApp, the text messaging. I'm totally... Like, something could happen to me now. It'd be weeks before
What?
people find
Exactly.
And
Until your body floats onto a shore.
out. With my iPhone.
With your phone,
And then they've got to wait to fix that.
exactly to find out who you are. What dental records? No, we're just going to look at his text messages,
Exactly.
mate, so it's quicker. But it was a really interesting article because obviously I just thought about it from your, how you did your blog and what you use for that. So did you do the blog on the?
I did it on the laptop and on the phone.
And on the phone, and I just thought, God, that is one important
It was everything.
piece
Yeah.
of kit. I mean, I think of my smartphone now just being in London is hugely important, but that point you made of not having your watch on, that happened to me the other day. My smartphone, I didn't have it. I left it somewhere. I just didn't know what the time was.
I always look at the sun.
It was
start doing that.
a good 25 to 30
Not
minutes
directly at it,
where I did not know the time, and I thought, the 26 course. You should
26.
know. You should know the time. Like, you should have a plan B for when your smartphone isn't with you.
But here's
It's
the
just
other deal. I
ridiculous.
also thought, hang on, how far have I walked from which way did I come from the hospital? Oh no, hang on, that's not working either. I can't use the maps thing. Oh, that's okay, I'll just make a phone. No, I haven't got the numbers and addresses on my email, on
It's
my
everything.
phone.
Yeah.
Everything.
And I thought, when I was in Argentina, I purposely backed everything up because I thought if the phone goes,
At least you can reload it all
Yeah.
onto
Yeah,
a new
if
phone.
they take you hostage for the Falklands, you need to back your machine up.
right. I just felt tight. I mean, for one thing, I felt good. That no one now knows where I am. No one can hear me scream. But it's back in 1995, and you just left school and you've arranged to meet someone at the sweet shop, but you've got to head home. There's no way of letting them know. How do you
Always leave a note, I guess.
Back in those days, it was always built on trust. You said to someone, "I'll meet you at 4:30 outside this place," and you were never late because there was no choice. If you missed the boat, your friends were gone. You were left.
I suppose you sort of then bring into the point of like, what actually is better for travelling? Like this is, we've done a bit of travelling as well, and the phone is such an important thing. But then again, how is it as freeing as people's experience 10, 15 years ago? Because you did genuinely have that. You've left what you've known for a complete unknown, and the only way to contact people is via a dodgy phone booth or the occasional postcard.
And I felt
and
free.
that's got to be a lot more liberating than still having like essentially a tiny umbilical cord back to your native
that's
country.
Right. I mean, you get sent a message on WhatsApp, and if you haven't responded in 24 hours, people are like kicking off. So when I lost my phone, straight to the hospital, phone's not here. Suddenly I was free, suddenly I didn't have to report back.
And like
Report back status checks.
In 2000, Radiohead recorded a song "How to Disappear Completely," and of course now you can't.
You can't. They'll get you. But yeah, so there we go, listeners and viewers. We hope you've enjoyed that travelling scene. But it's very interesting. Tell us what you think. But of course, next is our lovely feature,
The Hive.
the Hive.
Buzz.
And obviously you might have seen a bee or two fly through here. They are not part of the Hive, not this week. But we'll be talking about various things that are in the news and a few things that have made me particularly very angry.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a sting in him today.
So angry. But we'll talk about those after the break. So take care.
So I was just going to say, before we get on to the Hive, was
Yes.
quick little travel tale. Because
Okay.
Rich has mentioned Australia quite a lot, and obviously we're recording this on a certain Sunday where the first test has gone England's way in the
yes,
cricket,
fair enough.
and we're going to come on to the Lions in a minute as well. We're going to mention something to do with that. But here's a quick story I had from one friend of mine who was travelling to Australia, and it was at customs, and he was a couple waiting from the front, and there was a bit of a hold up at the front. He was trying to work out what was going on, and he was hearing this guy having a conversation. And what happened is that someone got a bit cheeky. So the Australian customs agent had asked this man if he had anything to declare, either any criminal convictions or anything like that. His answer was, "I didn't know you needed any to get into the country still." That chap got led away with a little bit of a rubber glove. So yeah, just be careful.
Be careful what banter you choose.
Yeah, banter can end up in acreage.
Banter sometimes causes lives.
Yeah.
So there we go. No, so the Hive this week is it's a tale of sport. So
it is. What a week we've had.
What a week for
British sport.
What a week for British sport. Now, you may have noticed a lot of things happened last weekend. The Lions won their first Test series since 1997.
Isn't that great for British sport?
Isn't that great for British sport, guys? Because we love it when British sport does really well.
And British means lots of different countries coming together to work for a common cause.
And that's what I love. So, a lot of things made me angry. Firstly...
Causes sporting gripe, number one.
There we go.
So, firstly, Warren Gatland decided to drop Brian O'Driscoll.
Warren Gatland being the
Warren
coach
Gatland
of
is
the Lions.
Coach of the Lions, a very well-respected coach who's led Wales to two Six Nations wins, one Grand Slam in those, and the coach of the Lions, great guy. He dropped Brian O'Driscoll, who's an excellent Test player.
One of the greatest.
One of the greatest, absolute great guy. But of course he did it because he's a manager and he had reasons.
He made a choice.
Now, what then happened on Twitter,
on bloody social media,
was just
and in the press
disgusting. I'll get to the press.
On the list.
Social media was people were going as if he'd literally killed an angel. That's how angry.
An Irish burly angel.
Irish burly
as if he had
angel.
choked him.
As if like, okay, Brian O'Driscoll wasn't playing that great, but people said, you know, he didn't actually put him on the bench. I'm fine with that. He's a coach. He made a decision.
Big
Great.
squad.
Big squad. He makes decisions. That's what he's paid to do. Now, my next point was something that really, really angered me because you've got morons on Twitter. You've got the everyday public. They don't know what they're talking about. But the press, established writers, should know better than to write crazy articles. Now, there's an article that we'll post a link to, written by the Telegraph, and this guy.
Other papers are available.
To
moan at and to bite.
And this guy lambasted Warren Gatland.
Good luck, bird.
He went off on one of... I couldn't believe I was reading an actual newspaper article. He was saying that it was a disgrace that there were 10 Welsh players in a Lions squad. He said, it's a joke, you know, it's not in the ethos of the Lions. Who the hell do you think these Welsh players are? And Warren Gatland had made the biggest mistake in sport. He'd lost all confidence and respect. And I was so angry. I wanted that guy sacked for that article. It was the most disrespectful thing
I would have been happy with a light reprimand, but never mind.
And of course, you know what happened, right? It was a record-winning score, and all the points were scored by that Welsh team. So well done, Warren Gatland.
Just more importantly,
for being a good coach and not a moron.
And I think it's easy. I mean, let's just stick to facts rather than like get into subjective nature of sport. But like essentially, that wasn't the world record of like most players from a country. I think I can't remember which tour it was. There was a Lions tour that had 12, and the whole point of the Lions is there are 4 countries come together, 4 nations get players picked from that, the best players. Now, it doesn't say there isn't a quota.
There isn't a quota.
It's like Team GB in the Olympics. There isn't a quota for places.
Not at all.
It's you pick the best, and then from that pool, you pick the best from that pool.
Yeah. And then it just happens that the Welsh are going through a good phase, as England did, and I'm sure other teams will go through. So that was the first thing that made me angry. The next thing, we'll all chip in on. Because,
here we go.
But let's just start from the positives.
Let's start with the positives.
Because it's one of the greatest sporting achievements that we will ever see in our lives.
True.
For us. I mean, for me especially. You love your tennis as well, of course, don't you?
I do.
Sure you do, Rich. But Andy Murray's achievement, winning the Wimbledon crown, something that I didn't think I'd see for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Murray fan from the beginning, especially when he was a psycho during the early days. Because I love a moody guy on sport if they're good.
Especially if they're
me.
Scottish. And he's worked so hard in this game. It was really actually pleasing to see the way he's developed as a person and as an athlete over the past 4 to 5 years.
And what a load of pressure he overcame. So that's great.
So that was
well
great.
done, Andy. We love you. And you're great on Twitter.
To win it since 1936, since Fred Perry. So that was great. All good. Now,
Now we get on to the gripes.
Of course, there was a lot of
Bandwagon
hopping, wasn't there? Because what we can't seem to do in British sport is allow someone to win something. Of course, he was Scottish, and he's, and just let them be, just let them enjoy.
Just
their
enjoy
achievement.
what they've done for the nation. No,
you can't do that. We've got to then add more pressure.
Their pound of flesh.
So,
Their shortcake biscuit.
Our glorious PM.
Their haggis.
Our glorious PM, Dave.
Big Dave.
Dave's good.
Dave, aka the Fonz, when he opens the door to number 10.
Exactly.
Andy!
Sometimes Cameron, every now and again, Cameron says something that you just have to kind of double take because you think he didn't say that, did he?
Not allowed to say that.
He's not allowed to say that. What David Cameron said was that not only should Andy Murray be knighted now, right now. He wants a knighted how?
Don't wait till his career's over, or
this is what just when people exploded. He could have stopped there. That would have been the optimum time to stop. But he carried on and he said, he deserves to be knighted now, and I can't think of anyone else who deserves it more. And people just went mental because, quite frankly, you can't say that. There are thousands of charity volunteers. There are a lot of people doing good work in the UK who deserve a knighthood. And I mean, I got angry because I just thought.
And of course,
I got angry for two reasons actually. Because that's unfair to Andy Murray because he's trying to enjoy his life. Now he's got to answer questions on do you think you should be knighted or not? He's like, I just won Wimbledon. Leave me alone. And of course, secondly, you've angered a lot of people who do some very good work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot. It was a lot. It's all politics at the end of the day, and of course, a knighthood is a very British monarchical award. It's the highest honour you can get in this country and in Britain because of the crown. Now, if you were Scotland, you may not necessarily want the crown anymore, and if you were fighting for independence, you may say,
I was just going to say that.
shove your knighthood, and it's not about the knighthood, but it was more about you could just. Rather than actually, Andy Murray does deserve it at some point in his life. He'll get it. But the point was, this was a way to almost if he gets a knighthood, then he's definitely British. He's definitely ours, and Scottish independence can whistle. And it was. Politicians naturally jump on good news stories because any good. I mean, take our friend Bill Clinton. Anything good happened in sport that took it away from Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah, exactly.
He was having a great time.
Any distraction.
Exactly. So it's not a new thing. It's just the way politicians handle it, and David Cameron went for the jugular, almost as if he won it.
In a way,
it's like not John Terry.
In a way, I think maybe was it David Cameron played that last shot? I don't know, but it really just it was fantastic.
He had Alex Salmon as well behind it was the first thing he did, but even before he's clapped, he's got the Scottish flag
out.
He's not even clapping. He's just got the flag out.
No.
Away from him.
It's such a great picture that though, Cameron in front and then Salmon just there with his Scottish flag.
Yeah, Salmon.
Because that is the truth. And those were the big. So it's been a really sporting.
Yeah, and I just my final thing on the whole Wimbledon thing is everyone's forgetting Virginia Wade. Now, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, that is a great achievement, and I think she needed to be remembered for her achievement, and it was mid-70s where she won the 77 for the women's crown, which is great. And there have been quite a few, I think 3 or 4 women singles champions since that point, before that point. So she was the last British one, but since Fred Perry era, there were a couple. So we're not detracting anything like that. But the reason everyone was so ecstatic, it wasn't because we're forgetting women and women's achievements. It was just that in isolation, that men's singles championship, we haven't seen that in a lot of people's lifetime.
Yeah.
And for a national sport, one of the homes of tennis, some would argue the home of tennis, in a global game, it was just such an amazing thing for one single person to achieve, and that's why everyone's gone rightly wax lyrical about it. And they should be focusing on him and his achievement that has happened since 1936.
That's true.
Do you know who I felt sorry for? About 10 minutes later, they interviewed Tim Hinman. Went, this could have happened to you. How do you feel about this? And he just went, yeah, it's really good. Well done.
He went home to Lucy, so he's fine.
Exactly, yeah. He'll get his knighthood.
He's done all right, hasn't he?
I say knight Tim. I love Tim Hebbon. I think he's great.
I would.
I think his services to tennis generally do deserve a knighthood. He's done a lot of tennis, he's done a lot of grassroots. That's what a knighthood's about.
He's
Yeah,
done a
maybe
lot of
that's it,
grassroots. What
Exactly.
a great
No,
place.
he has, and that's what actually being a knight is all about. It's actually like supporting your cause and doing it for such a long time and being an ambassador. Someday Andy Murray will be that, but not now, guys.
And having
not
to go
now.
for that interview 10 minutes after.
Yeah.
Just being
And
asked,
to be honest,
how do you feel?
my biggest joke is if I was going to say the reason Andy Murray deserved the night, it wouldn't be because he won Wimbledon, it's because he's had to deal with Sue Barker every Wimbledon for the past 5 years. He's Scottish and he just wants to get out of there. It's just like, no, I'm not English, guys. Okay, I'm Scottish. Just leave me alone. And I think he deserves a night. I think he deserves a night for that. To be honest with you.
And he's happy to represent Britain, and the Olympics proved that. So everyone get on with their lives.
Exactly.
It's horrible, isn't it? She went out with Cliff Richard. Do you remember that?
That is a weird
He didn't have a
scenario.
girlfriend after that, did he?
No.
Put him off.
Put him
Wow.
off.
I wondered who turned him to it.
It was that. Oh wow, fantastic.
And on that expose,
on that breaking news story.
I'll take my hat off.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We hope you've enjoyed our little, what's it called?
Trip
around the technology and travel arena.
I'd say world.
Exactly, and it's an area that's only going to grow because of obviously travel's going up. And
World's getting smaller, but travel's getting bigger.
Exactly, and more people want to do it. So we hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time.
Hopefully another glamorous location like Antarctica.
Exactly. We hope the weather holds up.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No
Pleasure,
problem.
Rich.
It's been a pleasure. Rich.
Thanks for sitting there.
Exactly. Take it easy, guys.
Scapegoats.